Hey everybody, hope you're doing well. So I'm trying to start a new series, and I've talked about this, kind of teased this earlier about my lessons with Larry McKenna, and I wanted to go through. I have my lesson books. Here's the page I'm going to do today, and this page is going to appear next to me on one of these sides. I don't know which, and we're going to talk through. I'm just going to show you what Larry wrote for me for this week in the lesson. Now, I don't exactly know when this week was, sometime around 1988, sometime in the fall of 1988, is when I started taking lessons with Larry when I went to Temple University. So I would bring in my blank manuscript book, and then he would take out his pencil, he would sit at the piano and write things out. So today's lesson looks like was about a minor 2-5. So minor 2-5. On the page, it's D minor 7, flat 5, G7, flat 9, C minor 6. So what Larry liked to do was, the lessons weren't always sequential with like, this is the first thing you need to know, and we're going to go from here to here to here. He was very pragmatic in that he would kind of meet me where I was. So I probably had a question. Larry, I don't really know what to do over these minor 7, these two minor 7 flat 5s, these 2 5s in minors. So he wrote some stuff out. Okay, so what did he start with? Well, he gave me the chord scale. So you see that he wrote the chord out, and then he gave me a scale, and he wrote there C natural minor. So I'm actually going to play it, yeah. So on the piano, I transpose it down so that as I read the page, I'm actually reading the notes that are on the page. So when you hear the piano, it would be a C minor 7 flat 5, but for tenor, it's going to be a D minor 7 flat 5. All right, so here's the C natural minor. So it's a C natural minor, but it starts on D. Okay, so here's the actual scale. But Larry had me start on D. That was the sound that he was saying to use over that. And now over the G7 flat 9, he said use a C harmonic minor. Now you see the C harmonic minor on the page. It's starting on the 5th though. So that scale, if I started on C, sounds like this. But Larry's saying use that scale, but started on the G instead. And then when we resolve to the C minor 6, or again on the keyboard, it's B flat minor 6. Use the C, and he has in quotes, I love this, jazz minor, jazz melodic minor. So really it's the melodic minor scale, but the true melodic minor scale has raised notes, 6 and 7 on the way up, but then they're lowered on the way down. Well, Larry said use the melodic minor scale and keep them raised both directions. So here's the C jazz minor. So there you go. Now, in the beautiful teaching of Larry, Larry didn't just leave me there and say, okay, now go and figure it out. Larry gave me vocabulary, and that's what you see in the next 3 stabs. Larry wrote out a couple of different 2-5 ones and gave me a line, like Bebop line. So check this out. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and 1. Larry. So Bebop language, right? It's great. And he used the devices, so he came up with line based off of the scales that he gave me on the top of the page. So here it is again. I'll do a little faster. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1. Great. So then, now look at the bottom. He gives me a little addendum here at the bottom. He actually scribbled out a line, and then it says G7 flat 9, and he always told me whenever there's a flat 9, there's an implied, you can always imply the sharp 9. So if you saw a G7 sharp 9, the flat 9 is always implied. So for instance, here's in tenor key, so it's concert F7. There's the flat 9. Here's the sharp 9. So if you have one, the other one's always implied as far as the sharp 9 or flat 9 goes. Okay, so Larry gave me another thing that I could do, and I've talked about this multiple times, but this basically is the altered scale. But Larry never described it to me as the altered scale. I mean, sometimes he would talk about it, but really the way that we got there was if the chord, the dominant chord, has a flat 9 or sharp 9, you can go up a half step and use that jazz or that melodic minor, and here it is. So, and he wrote it out for me, and this blew my mind. Like, this was the first time I'm seeing this as a young freshman at Temple University. I kind of heard this sound before, but didn't really know what it was. So here's the chord, and here's the scale. Now, that's the A flat melodic minor, but over a G7. Now, what if I started that scale on a G? Okay, well, there's your altered scale. But again, Larry never really told me about the altered scale. He went from what I knew, like this was his teaching approach. It was a lot easier to grab melodic minors and just apply them. Okay, so this is where we are. And then, like typical Larry, he not only gives me the concept, but now he gives me a line. So here's the line. Great. And it's funny, at the bottom, I think he has marked down that scale, the actual altered scale. So you see that it's there. And I think he wrote diminished whole tone. I don't know, is that a diminished whole tone scale? I'm so bad with like names of these scales. Again, I speak in these normal, for me it's normal. I never learned all of these other names to these scales. This is just, you know, use of the jazz minor, melodic minor scale. So this is the page in Larry's book. This was my week. This was a lesson. And he wrote all of this out while I was sitting there, by the way. And he would write it out like quickly. So 2-5 in minor, and the hope was that I could figure out what to do with the information that he gave me. Now, what did I do during the week? Well, I would take this and now put it in different keys, try to apply it on tunes, especially these lines. 1. Beautiful minor line. So, you know, I would analyze them by numbers and then put them in different keys and all that stuff. So that's my page in my Larry McKenna book, minor 2-5s. And this is kind of how Larry taught it. Now, he had multiple layers because there are other things that I could do over the D minor 7 flat 5, which relate to the melodic minor scale. But he got to that just a little bit later. All right, there you go. Hope it helps. Enjoy this Larry McKenna lesson number 1. Stay well.